Namaste, everybody. I am Dr. Kerry Kriger, Bansuri Bliss. I am here in Hyderabad, Telangana, India, and happy to be doing this webinar. My plan is to introduce you to Indian classical music and the Bansuri on the assumption that you have no current Bansuri knowledge. Now, you probably have some knowledge, but we will start from scratch and go quickly. And by the end of this webinar, we'll be playing a composition in Bhoopali if everything goes according to plans. To start out with, can everybody chat in where in the world you are? And perhaps you could also put in, how long have you played Bansuri? Now, everybody who has video on, if you keep your camera still, I would appreciate it. If you're holding a mobile camera and your picture is moving all around, I'm probably going to turn your video off because it's slightly distracting. So if you have video on, try to be still. Thank you. So go ahead, chat in where you're from. Chat in how long you've played Bansuri. Chat in what type of lessons you've ever had, as in, have you taken private lessons? Have you taken any lessons? Have you just watched on YouTube? What's your basic Indian classical music learning experience? And also, how about the number one question that you have right now about Indian classical music or or the Bansuri? What's your number one question? What's the number one thing that you want to know that maybe I could answer or discuss during this session? All right, welcome David from Denver, Colorado. Okay, lots of Bansuri experience. Private lessons in Boulder on Bansuri. I did not know that there was a Bansuri player in Boulder. Been out there playing my own Bansuri on the Pearl Street Mall many times and up at Flatiron. All right, Sunny in San Francisco. San Francisco, lots of Indian music there. Seen lots of great Indian classical concerts take place in San Francisco. And I actually started my Indian music training in San Francisco in 1996. All right, good. So, anyone else out there, feel free to say where you're from, where you are, what your experience is, and what's your top question about the Bansuri. So, I'll let those come in and I will go ahead and get started according to plan. So, my plan is to share my screen. Let me do that. Okay, so here we are. We've got Bhoopali. So I just created this half an hour ago just for you all. Bhoopali is a raga, a melody from North India. Every raga has a scale up called the Arohi, the ascending scale, and a scale down. I'm sorry, I have this written incorrectly. So usually I'll notice a mistake and then I'll go fix it. So please note on the second line, I have Arohi descending. That should be Avarohi. Okay. The Avarohi is the descending scale, not the Arohi. So I apologize for that. I wonder if there's a way to draw on this. Let me see if there is. I don't see it. So note that the descending scale is the Avarohi. All right, so every raga has a scale up and a scale down. A raga is a melody that follows a specific melodic framework, a structure. So first, let's make sure we know the scale and how to play that scale on our Bansuri bamboo flute from northern India. So the scale, sa, represented by S. All right, so S, R, G, P, D, S. That means sa, re, ga, pa. Conceptually 6 holes closed, but in reality for this middle paw, but not for low paw. For middle paw, though, we're going to lift this finger closest to our face just because it provides a bit better sound. Conceptually, though, it's 6 holes closed. And then da, D, da. And 1 octave above where we started, high saw. That's the S with a dot over top of it to represent the high octave. So that's our scale up, Arohi, and the scale down, Avarohi. That is the basis of Bhoopali. When we're playing Bhoopali, those are the only notes that we play. Don't play any other notes when you're playing Bhoopali. Now, how can we practice that scale? The first step is to play it slowly, just like I was doing. So turn on your tambura. Tambura is what you hear in the background. Set the pitch to the pitch of your flute. I'm playing an F at +8 cents. You're going to probably have a different flute. It doesn't matter what pitch flute you have. Find 3 holes down, get a digital tuner, close 3 holes, blow, look at what note the digital tuner tells you you are at, and then open up your tambura application on your phone, whatever one you have, and go set the pitch. Okay? And make sure that if you're given a choice when you're playing Bhoopali, have it set at paw if it's giving you a choice. A tambura has, generally speaking, 4 strings, and one of those strings gets changed in different ragas, and in Bhoopali, and in most ragas, but not all ragas, it should be at paw. So make sure you have your tambura set. So practice your scale just by going slow with no rhythm. You can even go slower than that if you want. So make sure that you can play the scale. Now, let's see how low on our flute we can go. We're at sa, so I can come down to low da, and I can come down to low pa. That's as low as I can get. Sa, da, pa, low pa. All 6 holes closed to get that low pa. Now we've come to the very bottom of our scale. So make sure you're able to play those notes. That paw is actually playing on our tambura. It should sound really nice and in tune with that. So play that low paw, listen to the tambura, make sure it sounds good. When you're out of tune, you'll hear this kind of waviness. You don't want that. Now here's what else we're going to need to move forward. We're going to need to go above the high saw. As we see in the ascending scale, I just have it from saw up to 1 octave above, which is high saw. But for our purposes today, let's go up to high re and high ga. So there's high saw. That's high re. So that would be R with a dot over it. And now let's come up to high ga. When you go up the scale, you have to blow harder. The difference between middle ga and high ga is not in the fingering, it's simply in how hard I'm blowing. So as we move up the scale, we're blowing a little bit harder with each note. So if you're having trouble in the high notes, then you need to be blowing harder. Okay, so we've gone all the way down to low pa. We've gone all the way up to high ga. And now let's practice the scale and add in rhythm. So let's learn about rhythm. The most common rhythm anywhere in the world in virtually all cultures is 4/4, as it's called in Western music, or 16 beats, Teen Tala, as it's called in Indian classical music, North Indian classical music, which is what we're playing, different than South Indian classical music. So North Indian classical music, Teen Tala, 16 beats, divided 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4. So we can count that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 16 beats. Okay? So we have some symbols here. We can see on the page a plus sign. That signifies the first beat of the rhythm. That is called sum. The first beat of the rhythmic cycle, because it's a cycle. It plays 16 beats and then it comes back to the start. 16 beats, back to the start, cycling. So the first beat is called sum, denoted with a plus sign. The second set of 4, we can write a 2 there, okay? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? Now the third set of 4, we're not going to put a 3, we're going to put a circle. And call it Kali. Okay? Kali means empty. It's empty of bass. That's how I think of it. When you're listening to the tabla, the Indian drums, doom, 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 doom. Okay, so in the middle, that section, the third section, is called Kali. All right, so we can think of Kali as the ninth beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But Kali is also that entire third section of fours, the third set of fours. And then the final set of four, if it were up to me, I would have called it 4, but Teen Tall related to the word tree tall, which means 3 talls, because I guess that the tall that is empty doesn't count as a tall, is where this terminology came from. So when we count it in Indian music, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. Kali 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4. Even though it makes more sense to me to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, or some 2, Kali 3, or just some Kali. Okay, so make sure that you can count whatever way you prefer of all that. The simplest is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice that's 16 beats. If I just went 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's not 16 beats, that's 4 beats. Because every 4 beats, nothing else is changing. Okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that takes 16 beats to get back to where I start. So without going into that much more detail on the rhythm, but rhythm is, we'll call it half of the music. There's Raga and Tala. Raga is the melody, Tala is the rhythm. So rhythm is very important, so it's worth this discussion. Now, here's how else we could write it to understand it a bit more in depth as far as Indian music goes. Next line, da din din da. These are bowls of the tabla. A bowl, a tabla bowl, B-O-L, is essentially a note. So just like on the flute or sitar, sarod, santur vocal, we have sa re ga pa da sa, or sa re ga ma pa da ni sa. On the tabla, they have notes. They call them bowls, and the bowls used in Teen Tala as the teka. The teka is essentially analogous to a composition that we would play on a bansuri. The composition, the teka of the tabla for Teen Tala is da din din da da din din da. That's the first 8 beats. Notice 2 sets of 4, they're both the same, but then it changes. Da tin tin na, na din din da. Okay, so when you're playing tabla, it's got 2 hands. On all 4 of these, the right hand is doing the same thing. The left hand is playing the bass gay. Okay, the bass gets left out on the tin tin na na in the middle. Da tin tin na. Tin tin na has no bass, no left hand, or we'll say no bass on the left hand. Okay, and then na din din da. All right, so when we're listening to the tabla, we can hear very clearly that Kali. So when your goal is to be able to hear Teen Tala and know when some is, and to know when Kali is. Most importantly, some. You always must know where some is. But essentially, you're going to hear this da din din da din din da tin tin na din din da so many times that you'll get used to it. And what you should do is start out on your tabla machine, if you have one, which you should, since you probably have a smartphone. so we can turn it on. Now my question is, can you hear the tabla? Let me turn it up a little bit. Da din din da, da din din da, da tin tin da, na din din da da. If you're just starting out, now there may be some time delay. There will be time delay in what you're seeing, but if you need to, you look at your tabla machine. You make sure that you have a wire connected to your speaker or your headphones, because if you're using Bluetooth, what you see will be delayed with what you hear. That's not good. So make sure you're fully connected so that you can look at the beats if you're unfamiliar with Teen Tala, and then you can start to get used to it because you'll know where some is. You'll know where Kali is. Some 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, Kali 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, some. We need to know that so that we can play this. Okay, what I started with was the first line of music written there. I ended up improvising a little bit. Sa re ga pa da sa re ga, re sa da pa ga re sa. All this is, I call it simple scale exercise. It's just 16 beats of music formed essentially out of the scale. We start at sa, we come all the way up to high ga, and then we descend, re sa da pa ga re sa, and we have a line at the end after the sa to signify the fourth beat being empty, but empty is not a correct term. We'll say without a new note, so we can hold that sa for 2 beats. Or we can just play quick sa, breathe during that space, okay? But whatever it is, it's ga re sa, 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 ga re sa. Either way you want to do it, there's no new note being played there. All right, so we have sa re ga pa da sa re ga re sa da pa ga re sa. First, unless you have the Bansuri skills to play it with the tabla, make sure you can play it without a tabla. Make sure you can play it slow, and then you can try to play it in rhythm without the tabla, just the rhythm in your head. Make sure every note comes out clearly, then turn on your tabla, count the beats, make sure you start at some 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, once you have that, you can try the final line that I have written here. here's what's going on. We've doubled our speed. We can tell we're going double speed because we see the semicircles under the notes. Semicircle represents one beat. So if we have two notes above enclosed by the semicircle, that means that those beats must be double speed. Okay? They're half a beat each. Saws, half beat, raise, half a beat. Add it together, it's one beat. We have to be going double speed. So now instead of sa, re, ga, pa, da, sa, re, ga, we're going sa, re, ga, pa, da, sa, re, ga, re, sa, da, pa, ga, re, sa. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and okay. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you could switch between these two and play it at the single speed. The first line for one cycle, 16 beats, and then double your speed and play the second line. Now, because we're double speed, we have to play it twice. Sa, re, ga, pa, da, sa, re, ga, re, sa, da, pa, ga, re, sa. Sa, re, ga, pa, da, sa, re, ga, re, sa, da, pa, ga, re, sa to fill up one cycle. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn on my tabla. I'm going to play it at single speed, one cycle. And then the next cycle, I'm going to play it at double speed. And then I'm going to return to single speed. And then I'm going to return to double speed. And if you do that and keep doing it, then you will improve your ability to be switching between single and double speed, which is incredibly important. If you want to use your tongue like I did that final line that I played, 2, like the number 2, 2, 2, 2. Make that motion with your mouth. Otherwise, in general, you're not using your tongue on every note. You're just blowing a continuous breath. All in one breath, I can play the line. Though, oftentimes on the very first note of a phrase, I'll use my tongue because it punctuates the start. It just gets some rhythm. But that's your call. Indian music is based on improvisation. Improvisation comes from our ability to do things differently. If we're playing the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over, we're not improvising. Okay? So we have choices. We can play single speed. We can play double speed. We can use our tongue. We can not use our tongue. We can play with gummick. We can play without gummick. So here it is without gummick. I'll play it twice. Once with gummick, once without gummick. I'm almost almost always playing with gummick when I'm playing Indian music at single speed. Can't play gummick if you're playing full speed like the second line, but when you're playing at single speed, there's time to play with gummick, which is putting an ornament on every single note. Saw a video yesterday of Hari Prasad Chaurasia speaking. He said gummick is the most important sound in Indian music. So I spend a lot of time teaching people gummick. Takes a lot of practice to get it, but once you have it, then all your music will sound a whole lot better. All right, so I was playing each line without gummick, with gummick, so you can hear the difference. It wasn't my plan to go into a gummick lesson right now, though. So let's see. We've got this first page done. We've learned the basis of all Bhoopali, which is the scale. We've learned how to play that on our flute. We've learned how to go to the lowest note we can get in Bhoopali, which is the low pa, and we've gone up to high ga. We could go up further, but for now we're fine just going up to high ga. We've learned how to read some Indian classical music. We've learned the most common rhythm on the planet. We've learned how that rhythm works in Indian classical music, North Indian classical music. We've learned a couple scale exercises. We've learned how to switch from single speed to double speed, and we've had an introduction to gummick and why gummick is important. So before I continue, I'd like to see if you all have questions, comments at this point. Does this all make sense? And should I move forward? I don't believe I got anybody's questions at all. I don't think anyone has asked a single question yet. So I would love to know any questions about Bhoopali, any questions about Indian classical music. And I will continue. All right, so here we have a composition. In North Indian classical music, Hindustani Sangeet, when we're performing, we would start out with a lot, which has no rhythm. Lop is fully improvised. So we play a lot for as long as we want. And then we would most likely start a composition. Now, there is something called Jor and Jala. We could play Jor and Jala, which introduces some rhythm before the tabla player joins us. But regardless, we are going to arrive at the time in the Raga where we want the tabla player to join in and play some rhythm. The tabla player knows to start because the tabla player will hear us introduce rhythm and be playing a composition. So the tabla player will know that's a composition. It's repeating over and over. The first line will repeat. The first line of the composition is called the gut. We see that written right here, the gut. This is a Teen Tala composition. It's meant to be played fast, which is called droot. 16 beat line starting on some. Okay, so I'm going to play this line, and when it comes to some, every time, this is where I'll be, right on this note. Okay, not all compositions start at some. This one starts on some. The double vertical bars with the two dots mean this comes from Western music. It means repeat what's inside it. Okay, whatever's enclosed between the two vertical bars with the two dots, repeat what's in it. I probably don't need to write that because the gut of a composition, the first line of a composition, is always the most important line of the entire composition. You're going to play that line more than any other line. You're going to return to that line many times. So it's not really needed to write that, but just to emphasize the point, I put it there. All right, so we're going at single speed here. Notice there's no semicircles underneath, okay? So single speed. Ga gets held for 2 beats. 1, 2. Ga, re, ga, pa, da, pa. Okay, so all notes in the middle octave. At Kali, ga, re, sa. 1, 2, 3, comma. Comma means rhythmically, it's a separation of phrases, just like if we're writing our in English, we'll put a comma to separate the phrase before it from the phrase after it. There's no break, there's no space. It's just mentally, it is signifying the thing before it is different than the thing after it. And also, that means immediately after the comma, in this case, low da, da with a dot under it, we could give it a tongue to give it some emphasis. We don't have to. Now, I could have written a comma. Well, if we look at the right side of the page, I've got that it can be split up in 2 ways. So we could have had more commas in here. 4 plus 4 plus 3 plus 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I could have put a comma right here. 4 plus 4. I could have put a comma here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's one way to think about the rhythm of this line. All right, the tabla player is just going 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 usually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. We could be going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alternatively, we could think about this line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Both ways add up to 16. In that case, I would have put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, comma, right there. Ga, ga, re, ga, pa, comma. Da, pa, ga, re, sa is 5 beats. And then da, a, sa, a, re, which I didn't discuss. So this is, I call it offbeat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. The 1 and the 3 are on the beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So this phrase ends off beat. Ga, re, sa, da, sa, re, ga. Ga, re, sa, da, sa, re, ga, re, sa, da, sa, re. Okay, so now that we've discussed and analyzed the line, let's actually play the line. Tabla turned on. Now again, it's droop, fast. I could be playing it faster than this. But in Indian music, it's always our call. We can play it slower. If you're a beginner, you probably want to go slower. To let you know, 168 beats per minute currently. 168 BPM. You could play it slower if you want. You can play it faster. I would usually personally play it faster. Let me play it 6 plus 5 plus 5. Will just sound slightly different, just for my emphasis. I'm just going to emphasize 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can use more volume on the first of each of the phrases. I can use my tongue. Either way. And again, it's Indian music. It's improvised. If you want to phrase it differently than this, you can. The way to improvise and to be able to play a raga for 20 minutes, half hour, 45 minutes is because you're able to continuously change things so that you're not being repetitive. So the more ways that you can phrase it, the more ways you can ornament it, the more ways you can leave it entirely and start improvising, then the better. But for now, you have 2 ways that I've written to think about the phrasing of the line. What you need to do is turn on your tabla machine. When the tabla comes to the 1, you start and you play it, and you make sure that when you repeat and come back to the ga, you're landing right on some. If you need to, you look at your tabla machine as it's counting the numbers. Make sure it's not on Bluetooth or it'll be delayed. And when it hits 1, you better be playing ga. If you're not playing ga, then you messed up. So practice it over and over. As I said, the gut is the most important line in the entire composition. Your ability to play the gut will significantly impact the quality of the raga that you're playing. So you need to be able to perfectly play the gut. I'm gonna play Bhoopali for 4 minutes or so, okay? So that you can hear what I would do with this. I don't have time right now to teach all these lines, but we've learned one line, and now that we know how to read Indian music, then most of what's on this page, there's little things like arcs and gummick ornament notes and some extra things, of which I even have a little statement about what that means, a little arrow, and really on, let's see, I did not give a description of what that arrow means. Usually I would always have everything written, but all those things are, they're not critical to your knowledge. You already know from what I've done in this lesson how to read each of these lines of music, more or less. So let me just play. Here's what we can do with this. right. So here's what I did. I played the first line, and then I started improvising, and I went through all the lines on this page. That's the entire composition. We can improvise from any of those lines, and we can leave the lines all together and improvise. And then towards the end, I started playing Jala, which is rhythmic, staccato, a lot of tonguing. And I played some T-highs in there, and most of the primary constituents of what makes up a raga, that we could take all those parts and improvise not just for 4 minutes, but for 10, 15, 20, 30, 45 minutes, an hour if we wanted to. So I built a website. I call it the Bansuri Bliss Membership site. And what I've been doing all year is adding lots of info to it, especially Bhoopali. My goal is to have basically every aspect of the Raga Bhoopali in there, so that you not only understand Bhoopali, but how Raga would work in general, such that for other Ragas, by the time you start learning another Raga, you would not need it in such detail. Maybe I could just give you a single composition. Like there are ragas that I played that my teacher only ever gave me one composition with less lines than what you just saw. Maybe just 4 lines is all I ever got. But I can play that raga for a half hour. There's some ragas I never even learned from anybody. I've just heard recordings. I understand how the raga works. Therefore, I can, if I want, make up my own composition or listen and hear what the traditional composition is, improvise for a half an hour, because the structure of the raga I know. So my goal has been for Bhoopali to have every single part of the raga in very thorough detail. Now I've also been adding in other ragas as well, not in as thorough detail, but I will continually be adding more with other ragas as well. So let me go ahead and show you what this is all about. See if we can see the screen. All right, so we're inside of the Bansuri Bliss membership site, and we're inside of Bhoopali. Starts out with an intro, and then I have basically most of what's in here is going to be audio, video, or PDF. So this is a lesson, and just like what I was just doing, I just start talking about the scale. All right, that's where it all starts. And these are primarily in the order that I would hope someone would look at them. It moves into different exercises, simple scale exercise like we did, how to practice long notes, doing the scale through 2 octaves, an exercise called Morchana, and various different types of exercises such as Allen cars, which are repetitive scale exercises, the Ga Pa bridge, which I think is very important because most beginning flute players have trouble going from Ga to Pa or from Pa to Ga, so this explains it. And then various exercises related to ornaments so that you understand how to play ornaments. A lot, how to play a lot. The composition like we just did with a 30 plus minute video going into detail about every line. Tons and T-highs. Tons are when I'm playing at full speed. T-highs are lines of music repeated 3 times. So I've written out basically my goal is to write out everything in as thorough detail as I know how. So every single note when I'm playing Indian music, generally speaking, I know every single note in my head when I'm playing it. It's not just my fingers are going and I'm just feeling the music. I'm also understanding it. Ideally, the ideal state when you're playing music is you feel it and you also mentally understand it. So I've written out lots of different tones, compositions, and basically you could take any of these PDFs. So I have currently 25 hours of video on the site, 8 hours of audio, 57 pages of PDFs. You could take any one of these pages and you could, I'm sure, practice that for 1 week straight, nothing else. Just practice that for a week straight, making sure that you not only can play it, you can play it well, and you can memorize it. Could you play this entire page back, all 10 of these tones, without looking at the piece of paper? Then you really understand it. So a lot of info. Some of them I just have PDFs currently. Here's Jala, like I was playing at the end of the Raga, an explanation on how Jala works, and then a full length Jala. So tons of info. And then I also have some audio files of real performances, Bhoopali, in this composition, some lessons, like a lesson my teacher taught me. Bhoopali is not the only raga in the site. I have currently Bhoopali, Durga, Hansadwani, Kirwani, Kalavati, Shivaranjani, not in as much depth as Bhoopali. But my plan is over the years, continuously, ideally, hopefully for many years to come, I will be adding every time I think of create a new lesson, this is where it's going to go, so that over time, there's going to be lots and lots of lessons in many different ragas. And it's already at the point where there's probably more in there than you will be able to learn compared to the rate at which I add it. I'll hopefully always be adding stuff into there faster than you'll ever be able to master those. Now, hopefully you'll be able to master them, but what I'm getting at is it's a lot of info in there. It's a lot of raga material, and it will be growing. And that's what I have right here, the world's fastest growing archive of Bansuri lessons. Hopefully not just fast, but in-depth and useful. And so this is what I've done. I started this year, 2018. I built the membership site, and I've been adding to it. And I have this spreadsheet shows what is in it and the dates on which I publish them. So you can see I'm regularly adding lessons. There's currently 174 lessons or videos, audios, whatever they are. So we've got video duration, audio duration, number of pages of the PDF. So you can see 25 hours of video, 6 hours of audio, 57 pages of PDFs. That's what's in there. So my highest recommendation, if you're interested in Indian music, is to become a Bansuri Bliss member. You not only get access to all of that website material that I just showed you, but also I'm online twice a month, just like what I've been doing today, giving a lesson on something generally new every time, taking questions from members, answering questions. So you get access to me. Now it's usually $27 a month or $247 per year. I have a end of year special offer for you. So if you sign up by December 30th, so make a decision to drastically improve your Bansuri in 2019, then I can give you a discount code. It'll be $177 for the year or $20 per month. So if you sign up, $177 for the entire year, that is about 5.5 months of free membership compared to the standard monthly rate of 27. If you're at $20 per month and just paying each month, then you're still ending up with the equivalent of a few months free. And either way you go, 177 a year or 20 a month, or even if you were paying 27 a month or 247 a year, I think about how much did I used to pay 20 years ago to learn Indian music. I sometimes would be paying $70 a week for a couple private lessons, so $280 a month. I would be driving or taking public transportation for half hour or an hour each way. So there's $5, $10, $15 in transportation money in my time spent getting to the lesson to get sometimes 4 lines of music. Now, of course, when you're getting private lessons, you're getting a lot more knowledge than just that. But what I'm getting at is I used to be paying several $1,000s a year to learn Indian music. So to me, this is an incredibly good deal. Even in India, if you got lessons in India and you go to a private teacher or you go to a school and you're paying 1,000 rupees a month and you're sitting in traffic and you're paying the taxi driver, this is still a good deal. And you're getting an incredible amount of highly detailed information. That's the knowledge that I've gained over the course of 21 years of playing Indian music daily. I play every day. There's probably less than 10 total days over the past 21 years when I have not played Bansuri. I play Bansuri every day. So I encourage you to sign up. Let me tell you what the discount code is, and I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and I will put this in a chat right now that's going out to everyone. You go to members.bansuribliss.com, and the discount code for 177 per year, the code is 177 music. And the code for $20 per month is 20 music. Those are the discount codes. So when you're on the checkout page, you can use those discount codes. And if you have any trouble, send me an email, contact@bansuribliss.com. And those codes expire December the 30th. I don't know at what time of day. I don't know if that's India time, San Francisco time, but sometime on the 30th, they're going to expire. So if you know you want to learn Indian classical music, Bansuri, if you found value in this lesson, then I encourage you to sign up. Again, you get access to everything I ever put on the site, all the stuff that I will be putting on the site, and also 2 lessons like this every month where I come online, teach something, and I'm able to answer all your questions. Now, I am also available for private lessons, and I do encourage everybody, even if you're a member. And if you're a member, another benefit is private lessons are discounted as well. If you ever want private lessons from me, then write me about that. Private lessons, if you're a member, I still suggest you get 1 private lesson every month, minimum, maybe maximum 2, ideally. But if you just get 1 private lesson every month, or 1 every 2 months, every now and then no matter what, you should always get a private lesson when possible, because in this format that we've been doing, it's mostly me talking and playing. You're hearing it, but I can't hear you and I can't correct you. And when I give a private lesson, it's a back and forth. I play, you play. I give you input, you change and improve what you're doing, and there's a whole lot more personal input. So that's necessary. That's how Indian music has been done for thousands of years. So membership, great for learning on your own. Private lessons are still important and always will be for the rest of time. Technology will never replace the value of a one-on-one music lesson. So that's everything I have to say. Members.Bansuri Bliss is the membership website. The code is 177 music if you want to pay annually, or 20 music, 20 music if you want to pay by the month. And if anyone has any questions, this would be your opportunity. If you want me to unmute you, if you want to talk, then you can. Otherwise, chat in your question or your comment, and then we will adjourn, close it out. Anyone have any questions? I'll hang out for a few seconds waiting. Maybe I'll even play some Bhoopali and see if any questions come in. I'll go ahead and play some a lot. And I'll give you one final, very important piece of knowledge. Maybe the easiest piece of knowledge to integrate into your playing that I didn't tell you. In Bhoopali, the most important note is Ga. Ga is called Vadi. Vadi means the emperor note. It's the most important note. So how do we apply that? We spend a lot of time on Ga. You'll remember in the composition, Ga was the first note of the composition, and it was on Sum, the most important beat of the composition. So embedded into our composition is a lot of Ga. Okay, a question or a statement. I usually have trouble playing lower saw. First of all, I'll say you can't play low saw on a bamboo flute. So you're probably just referring to saw. Low saw would actually be an octave lower than that. If you're having trouble playing any note, then you need to spend a lot more time on that note. And usually it's not saw that people have trouble with. It would be high saw. The higher you go, the harder it is to play. Or when you get all the way down to lots of fingers closed, people often have trouble on these low notes that require all these fingers, because if you have any kind of leak, if your finger is not fully closed, like if you have a little opening like that versus fully closed, if your fingers are not fully closing the hole, you will get no sound. So if you're having trouble on saw, I'm guessing you probably also have trouble on da and pa, because any leak anywhere would result in all the notes underneath it being bad. Yeah, so I suggest grip it a little harder, perhaps, or whenever you're blowing and you hear it's not good, you could just stop and actually look at your finger, or maybe get on a camera like this or in front of a mirror and play. And if you can't get the sound, actually look at the holes and make sure that the holes are covered. If the holes are fully covered, then it's a matter of your blowing is either you need to, you know, move until you get that sweet spot. Because if you're too far over or too angled in or something like that, then you're not going to get it. And always note that low notes you blow softly, high notes you have to blow more forcefully. All right. Thank you so much for attending. I am Dr. Kerry Kriger, Bansuri Bliss, and hope you got a lot of good Raga information, Bhoopali inspiration. So I hope to see you on the next Bansuri Bliss members call. And if you know other flute players, Bansuri players, please spread the word about Bansuri Bliss. All right, thanks. Happy holidays. Bye.